I feel like I'm coming down with scurvy, guys.
Okay.
I feel like I'm not eating enough vegetables. I did have a kale salad earlier today, so you'd presume that would have enough vitamin C to sort of hold me over, from scurvy for several months, I guess you could say. But I just feel like, I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm not 100% in terms of my healthiness, And I just had a bunch of tempeh for dinner. And tempeh's good, obviously, but it doesn't really have any vitamins in it. I feel like maybe I should have eaten a bunch of broccoli. I don't know.
Tempeh is fermented.
Yeah, but it didn't have any vitamins, dude. Like, there's no vitamin C in there.
But fermented food is good for you.
That's what they say. I don't know, man. I feel like I feel like it's not quite enough for me. So I'm gonna need to do something about that. But that's neither here nor there. So, Tom, how do you feel as the person who single-handedly forced Paul Ryan from the House of Representatives?
I mean, I guess good.
So a lot of people don't know this. Tom, can I talk about this publicly?
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know this, but Tom contributed dollars. It might not have been many, but he contributed several dollars to Iron Stash, whose name I don't actually know. Like, does this guy, is he going to be on the ballot as Iron Stash? I hope so, because I don't think anybody's going to know who he is otherwise.
Randy Bryce.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's the former steel worker, and Paul Ryan is retiring, and we can give credit to Tom because.
So I was an early donor to Iron Stash late last year, late 2017. I gave money to Iron Stash, and I just saw in my email. I got an email in August 17th, 2017. The from address is Iron Stash. Like, that's the name associated with the email address. And then the subject line is, quote, "I am a person. My mustache is not a person." AJ.
He is the first hipster candidate.
I may go by the nickname Iron Stash, but I'm a real person. If you don't believe me, scroll down to see a photo of me and my mustache, which is not a person.
He forced Paul Ryan from the race. A lot of people thought it would take like tens of millions of dollars. Thought it would. Who knew what it would take if it was even possible? But you've done it. You, Tom, AJ.
On August 6th, 2017, right? More than 6 months ago, Iron Stash sent me an email. Subject line: Paul Ryan is a coward.
It's true.
I think that has been revealed to be true.
Okay, let's see. July 21st, 2017, he sent me an email saying, "AJ, I'll take a photo with you."
Did you get that photo?
No.
Did he take it?
Man.
Why did he not do it?
I must have given money to Iron Stash like a whole year ago. These emails go way back. It looks like I gave money to Iron Stash back in like July of 2017. That's almost a whole year ago. Wow. I can't believe he's going to be the next speaker.
Dude, I mean, with this kind of support, I assume it's going to be Donald Trump v. Iron Stash in 2020.
Man, no, but if you beat the Speaker of the House, you're the new Speaker, right? That's like how it works.
Yeah, pretty sure that's how it works.
All right, I rounded up all of my favorite Paul Ryan is retiring takes, and I put them in our shared Google Doc.
So I think it's helpful for our audience, for those of us that have, maybe don't know AJ personally, or maybe haven't listened to all 50 episodes. Now, we do have listeners that have listened to all 50 episodes, but even they may not actually know this fact. AJ hates Paul Ryan.
Not just me. All of these other tweeters that I copied their tweets, they also hate Paul Ryan.
I mean, there is a deep, deep hatred for Paul Ryan. So let's kind of, maybe it's helpful to talk about the different ways in which people hate Paul Ryan, what reasons they hate him for, why, what about his departure makes them so happy. There's definitely a bit of schadenfreude, if you will, a word that I learned from a fantastic TV show called Boston Legal, that has come with Paul Ryan's imminent retirement.
What's that?
Schadenfreude is
No,
when
I mean,
you
what
take-
is
what is the what are the reasons? That's what I was going to have AJ explain.
All right, here are my favorite takes. Are you ready? At ParkerMolloy. My favorite Paul Ryan moment is the time he said that Rage Against the Machine was his favorite band, and Tom Morello responded by writing an editorial for Rolling Stone, getting all over him. That was a good one. There's some good lines in this editorial. You want to hear some of the lines in this editorial from Tom Morello saying that Paul Ryan is bad? He said, here it is. Tom Morello, Paul Ryan is the embodiment of the machine our music rages against. Quote, I wonder what Ryan's favorite Rage song is. Is it the one where we condemn the genocide of Native Americans, the one lambasting American imperialism, our cover of Fuck the Police, or is it the one where we call on the people to seize the means of production? So many excellent choices to jam out to at young Republican meetings.
Yeah, so what was Paul Ryan
Don't
thinking?
mistake me. I clearly see that Ryan has a whole lot of rage in him. A rage against women, a rage against immigrants, a rage against workers, a rage against gays, a rage against the poor, a rage against the environment. Basically, the only thing he's not raging against is the privileged elite he's groveling in front of for campaign contributions. It's Tom Morello. You did a great job.
Yeah,
All right, here's
you
another
did a
good take.
job.
You ready for a good take?
Wait. Before we go on, what possessed Paul Ryan to say that Rage Against the Machine is his favorite band?
What prompted Paul Ryan to say that?
What possessed him?
Oh, this was in 2012 when he was running for vice president.
I know.
And they did
Like,
that
what-
spread about all the CrossFit he did. They asked him, what music do you like to listen to during CrossFit? He said, Rage Against the Machine is my band that I listen to when I'm doing, or not CrossFit, P90X. You know what I mean? When he's doing his workout, when he had his hat on backwards.
But why? Why?
Why
would
not?
he do that?
He probably does like the band. What he said in the interview is that he likes the music but not the lyrics. All right, you ready for a good take?
What's a good take?
Here's a good take. You ready for a good take? God, I love collecting takes. All right. This is from Ronald Brownstein at The Atlantic. Are you ready? Quote, we know that the speaker, expecting a Trump defeat, planned to deliver a speech on election night in 2016. He intended to denounce Trump's racially polarizing agenda as a political dead end and a betrayal of conservatism's ideals. Instead, when Trump won, Ryan folded the speech back into his jacket pocket, where it has receded deeper ever since.
Wow, I wonder if how do they know that he planned to denounce Trump?
I don't know. It was the same person who reported like several months ago that Paul Ryan was planning to retire. Tim Alberta at Politico reported it. But Tim Alberta is like seemed to be pretty on the ball about this thing. Like I sort of, if Politico ran it and Tim Alberta reported it, then you sort of, I mean, it's still like an anonymously sourced thing, but it's like fairly reliable. All right, you ready for another one? This is Paul Krugman. You ready? Paul Krugman. More on Ryan. He failed at both his pretend goals and his real goals. He pretended to be a champion of fiscal response. What the? It's scrolling weird. Okay. He pretended to be a champion of fiscal responsibility. Tom, stop making it scroll. Are you doing this on purpose?
Copy and paste. All right, just try again. Hold on.
Why are you moving it as I'm reading it?
I'm not.
Tom,
Man.
stop moving it around the Google Doc.
AJ's raging against Tom.
No, oh my God. This is like... no, why are you
try
moving
again.
the image as I'm reading it? Okay, are you ready? More on Ryan. He's failed at both his pretended goals and his real goals. He pretended to be a champion of fiscal responsibility, convincing naive centrists that he really meant it, but his legacy of one is bigger deficits. That's not a surprise, because anyone who actually looked at his plans realized that the alleged deficit reduction was all magic asterisks. Take these out and his plans were actually deficit increasing because of tax cuts. His real goal was to eviscerate the social safety net. That's like a real take. All right, ... And meanwhile, as speaker, his main achievement, if you can call it that, has been as enabler of corruption and contempt for rule of law. It's unclear whether the end game will be democratic takeover of the House or autocracy American style, but either way, what a legacy.
AJ's glee. I've never seen AJ's gleeful.
Okay, and here's another one. Matt Fuller.
AJ's so happy. He's so happy. Like, I don't think AJ will be this happy when Donald Trump is no longer president. Like, I don't think he'll be this happy. I just don't see it. I don't think AJ will be this happy if and when Jared Kushner is indicted. I don't think AJ will be this happy, like,
I can't believe Iron Stash gets to be speaker. I'm so into this. All right, Paul Ryan's real legacy, Donald Trump. That's Matt Fuller at Huffington Post.
I mean, is Paul Ryan's legacy Donald Trump? Donald Trump was going to be president or not?
Yes. I mean, according to Matt Fuller at Huffington Post, one of my top 2 favorite Huffington Post people.
I think Donald Trump is or is not president regardless of Paul Ryan, right? I don't think Paul Ryan actually had any power in this.
Ryan toyed so many times with not backing Trump during the campaign, after denouncing Trump's proposed Muslim ban, after calling Trump's attacks on a stage of Mexican descent textbook racism, after saying he wouldn't campaign for a man so proud of his ability to grab them by the pussy. And yet, by the very end of the campaign, Ryan found a way to support him. I don't think that Matt Fuller is saying that Paul Ryan's legacy is that he caused Donald Trump to be president, right? I think that Matt Fuller is saying that the taint that Donald Trump leaves on anyone who chooses to associate with him is the largest facet of Paul Ryan's legacy, overshadowing anything else he did.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that that's probably true.
Yeah. Well, then you agree with Matt Fuller.
In that sense, I do, yeah. I mean, if that's what he's saying, then I do agree with him. I think, like, he has, so I was joking today that as all of us have talked about, everyone that associates themselves with Donald Trump leaves in shame, like complete and total shame, and is completely disgraced. And, you can't leave with your reputation intact. It's kind of like Hotel California, I suppose. But someone mentioned, well, what about Rick Perry? What do you guys think about that? Rick Perry hasn't completely he's kind of just been Rick Perry.
Our perspective, you and I, we have a very different perspective on Rick Perry from the rest of the country. Don't forget that all of the rest of the country's exposure to Rick Perry is the 3 agencies he wanted to abolish, right? What were they? They were the IRS and another thing in Oops.
Well, one of them was the agency he's the secretary of now, but
right. So like, but the point I'm making is that, like, for the rest of the country, like Rick Perry was kind of a punchline, and there isn't much more taint he could have absorbed, right? Like, as far as the rest of the country is concerned,
that's not true.
Like, Rick Perry is
I
like
think,
up there with Herman Cain, right? Like, we live in a special place where we have, like, firsthand knowledge of Rick Perry's very specific political talents, and the fact that he really is this sort of, he is like a incredibly specific specimen. He's a very interesting person. But I think the rest of the country, he didn't have much reputation to taint by associating with Trump for the rest of the country's perspective.
No, I think that, so, I mean, there are many people like that as well. Like, did Ben Carson have much of a reputation to taint? I mean, yet he's managed to do it. There's a lot of people that have probably not much of a reputation, and they managed to taint it anyway,
The difference between Ben Carson and Rick Perry is that Ben Carson was unknown, right? Like Ben Carson was like tabula rasa, and now he's like this like Trump thing, right? Whereas Rick Perry was like not tabula rasa, right? Like he was like known to be sort of goofy from the national perspective.
Oh, Jeff Sessions, not another one. Jeff Sessions was in the 1980s, right? In the 1980s, Congress decided that Jeff Sessions was too racist to be a federal judge. And yet things have gotten worse for Jeff Sessions since then.
Have they?
I mean, I don't know, dude. Do you go to work every day where your boss tweets about how terrible you are and how he wishes he could fire you? I mean, this is a pretty serious and regular, denigration of a man's soul. I mean, it's but whatever. But anyway, guys, so AJ's really happy with this Paul Ryan thing.
Yeah, of course. Aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as thrilled as you are. I'm definitely glad. I actually would have preferred that he just lost. So in that sense, I'm like not as happy, I guess you could say. If he had lost, that would have been better. That would have been more fitting. Or actually, maybe not for Paul Ryan, since he's sort of been kind of a coward throughout these last few years. Maybe it is fitting for him to shrink from battle. So do you guys think Paul Ryan has any future at all? Like, do you think Paul Ryan runs for president in like 8 years or something?
No. I think he's done with politics.
Do you think, as I do, that he's just going to become a lobbyist very soon and make a ton of money?
Yeah. Well, did you see that John Boehner announced today that he's joining the board of a marijuana company and he thinks marijuana should be legal?
I hope that's for money. I hope he's getting paid for that. I hate when people do these types of things and get paid nothing. It seems like a waste.
Think so?
I mean, they just, reverse on their views and so on and so forth. And
Wait. When you say reverse on your views, do you mean like reverse on the things that they actually think, or they reverse on the things they say out loud? Right? Because it's like fairly clear that most of the things they think to themselves are different from the things they say out loud. It's not clear to me that this is like a reversal of Boehner's like deeply held views.
Oh, that I don't know, I guess. I mean this sort of generally. Like if Boehner was really against marijuana legalization, and now he switched and he didn't even get paid for it, it seems kind of sad. He sold himself a little cheaply, I guess you could say. Now, if he didn't care at all, which I guess you're right, that's probably what the situation is with Boehner, right? He probably didn't give crap. And now he can get paid to say what he wants to say. I mean, I think that's more power to him, I suppose.
Well, anyway, here's my deal. Here's the real deal, right? Like a real deal Iron Stash Union guy is going to be the next Speaker of the House, and I could not be more excited.
It may be worth clarifying for the audience that just because you defeat someone, or actually
when you defeat the Speaker, you become the Speaker. It's just like in Highlander.
Well, he's not even defeating the Speaker, though.
No, it's like in Black Panther. When you beat the king, you become the king. I'm so excited. Why aren't you more excited?
Yeah, Ruch, why not?
I'm not excited, I guess you could say. I just think it's sort of, these things happen, and, it's good for,
Here's the Boehner tweet. Boehner tweeted,
good for the world.
I'm joining the board at #Acreage Holdings because my thinking on cannabis has evolved. I'm convinced descheduling the drug is needed so we can do research, help our veterans, and reverse the opioid epidemic ravaging our communities.
He's joining Anchorage?
Acreage Cannabis.
Oh, Anchorage Cannabis. I thought you said Anchorage Capital.
Acreage.
Oh, okay.
Acreage.
Never mind. I thought you said Anchorage Capital. I was like, hold on a second.
The unit of area. Acre.
Ah, Acre. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, Bill Weld also joined their board of advisors.
Oh, wow. So now they have a Republican and a Democrat.
Bill Weld is a Republican.
Oh. I always thought he was a Democrat.
Wait, is he a Democrat? He was Gary Johnson's Libertarian vice president. I always just assumed he was a Republican.
No, you're right. He is a Republican, but he's like a Massachusetts Republican. I think he's to the left of
like Mitt Romney? The guy who said he's more conservative than Trump?
He didn't say he was more conservative than Trump.
He did.
He said he was
That's literally what he said.
He literally said that. He literally
said
said he's more conservative than Trump.
I guess that's probably true, but so are probably a lot of liberals, frankly.
He said he's more conservative than Trump on DACA.
I mean, Trump doesn't really have an ideology, so.
Mitt Romney says he veers harder to the right than President Donald Trump does on a number of issues, including immigration. For example, I'm a deficit hawk.
I mean, I assume he is, but he's definitely not. Trump doesn't care about deficits. But I think there are a lot of Democrats that care more about deficits than Trump does. So, I mean, that doesn't really mean anything. I think that statement doesn't mean anything, that I'm more conservative than Trump. It's sort of...
Man, oh wow. Ruchit is so eager, so desperate to defend Mitt Romney from any form of criticism that his best defense of Mitt Romney is that the words that he says are not meaningful.
No, I'm just saying, no. I mean, just in this situation, like the words that... I guess that's just not true. I'm just saying that, like, in this situation, you're bringing up a comparison to Donald Trump, and I'm saying comparisons to Donald Trump are kind of, they don't mean anything.
Look, all I said is that Romney says he's more conservative than Trump, and all that Romney said was that he's more conservative than Trump. So who are you going to believe, me or Romney?
I'm just saying it doesn't really matter, because that's just not, like, a particularly instructive, comparison. Because Trump doesn't have an ideology.
I mean, it is, right? I mean, it is in most cases, right? Like, if I were to tell you I'm much more liberal than Trump, that would be meaningful to you, and you would agree, right? Like, it's not only like a semantically meaningful sentence; it's like it's a true sentence.
No, I don't think I would. I don't think that's true, because I think that, like, Trump doesn't have an ideology. So you could say you are more liberal than him or more conservative than him, and it wouldn't really particularly mean anything.
Oh my God, there's so many things wrong with this. Trump does have an ideology. It's white identity politics, and he has all sorts of professed policy views. Like that time when he tweeted he was going to bomb Syria.
AJ's trying to transition, AJ, transition.
What?
To Syria. You wanted to talk about Syria. Go for it.
Donald Trump tweeted that we're going to bomb Syria. Donald Trump said Russia vows to shoot down any and all missiles fired at Syria. Get ready, Russia, because they will be coming. Nice and new and smart.
That did seem like a pretty dumb thing to say.
No, he tweeted that we're going to bomb Syria. It's because we're going to bomb Syria. It's going to be awful.
So if chemical weapons were used, what do you think is the appropriate response?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the appropriate response is, but I don't think we should bomb Syria. I don't want to bomb any countries. I don't think any country should bomb any other countries. Tom, weigh in on this quickly.
I'm reading the Wikipedia page, Political Positions of Donald Trump. It's quite a long Wikipedia page, and it's got his signature.
I think that's like a serious question, right? Like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? I don't think there are any good paths. You can't, I don't think you can, you can, of course, do it, but I don't think you should sit and do nothing if somebody uses chemical weapons. I think you should go to the UN, which we're doing right now.
Okay, so here's the question, right? So, like, let's say some sort of like military action were warranted. Why on earth would, like, out of all of the people in the world, out of all of the world leaders that could do it, why on earth would you support Donald Trump leading the military action?
I guess, like, you're trying to connect sort of two things that maybe aren't connected. I mean, they are connected in this situation.
No, it's one thing. Should we bomb Syria? And the answer is no. Like our government, as presently constituted, should not bomb Syria. Right? It's one thing. Should our government bomb Syria? The answer to that one thing is no. Tom, weigh in on this.
Is there anything for me to say?
Well, Tom, should we bomb Syria?
Probably not.
See? Richard, it's 2 for 1 against. The ayes have it.
No, I think that we can't sit and do nothing in the response to a country using chemical weapons.
Ruchit wants to bomb Syria.
Well, I mean, should I start saying AJ wants to let people use chemical weapons?
No, I don't want to let people use chemical weapons. I just don't think the U.S. government should bomb Syria.
Yeah, you do, because you're not willing to do anything about it.
So it's a binary choice, right? The only two options are to bomb Syria or let Assad use chemical weapons. Those are the only two choices.
Well, you come up with a third choice. You come up with a third option. I asked you for one.
Okay, why doesn't France bomb Syria?
Okay, so somebody's going to bomb Syria. You're okay with somebody bombing Syria as long as it's not...
No, I'm just saying there's a third option.
Okay, so are you okay with France bombing Syria?
No, probably not.
Okay, there we go. Are you okay with an international... Are you okay with a international coalition, with UN authorization bombing Syria?
That's a good question. If I had to rank my choices between the U.S. government bombing Syria, the French government bombing Syria, and then like a UN coalition bombing Syria, my number one choice out of those three would be a UN coalition.
I think that would be my top choice too. Now let's develop the sort of example here. What if a UN coalition isn't willing to do so because Russia uses a veto at the Security Council, which they have?
I don't know. I just don't think countries should bomb other countries.
Yeah, I think it's
why can't they just prosecute Assad?
Yeah, don't they have to capture him to do that? How do you propose they do that? Yeah.
But they can capture him without bombing Syria.
Really? How do they do that? They just send like Jack Bauer
how do they
there?
capture anyone? How would they capture you?
Well, typically, I don't have an army, so I guess that's one thing. I'm also not protected by Vladimir Putin or by the Iranian regime. So gosh, I hope I didn't open myself up to people attacking my house now that it's publicly known that I'm not protected by Vladimir Putin.
That your house isn't a client state. I just think you're being incredibly reductive, right? I think that this sort of false binary between right, like there are all sorts of ways or reasons not to support the Assad regime without having to say that Donald Trump should get to bomb other countries.
So I think you're being extremely reductive, right? Which is you're saying that you don't support people using chemical weapons, but you can't think of any actions that you're willing to take to actually stop them from doing so. And you're unwilling to say, well, what if you try the UN, which we are trying right now, and what if Russia exercises its veto power in the Security Council, which they are almost certainly going to do? What do we do then?
So, Richard, what's your end game for bombing Syria? So walk me through this. You bomb Syria, and then what? What's step B? Okay, so step one, bomb Syria. Step B, go.
No, I'll walk you through it. I guess here's what I'm trying to say. You have to start with the supposition that you can do nothing, but you've got to ask yourself, like, do you want to do nothing? And if you're okay with doing nothing, you should just say it. Just say it. Just say.
So step 1, you bomb Syria. What's step 1A?
Step 1A, you try and bring Assad to the negotiating table to get rid of chemical weapons. Like, that's what you try and do.
Okay, step 1B. What's next?
You try to get Russia to the negotiating table as well, because you show that you're serious and that you're willing.
Okay, step 1D. What's next?
Hopefully that works. I mean, at some point you run out of...
Okay, now step 2.1. What's next?
Well, I mean, at that point, then you continue. I mean, maybe you do a blockade of Syria.
Okay, so why don't you do all of those things instead of bombing Syria? Why don't you do steps 1A, 1B, 1D, and 2.1, and then just don't do step 1 where you bomb Syria?
Well, I think sometimes you have to show people that you're serious and that there is a worse option.
Tom, weigh in on this.
That you have to show people that there's a worse option, right? And if they don't think that you're credible with your sort of worse option, then they may not take you seriously. And I think that's sort of what's happened.
Ruch, this is crazy. Ruch, this is crazy talk. This is like craziness. I have to like disclaim for everyone who's listening that like I don't support this. I barely support putting this in the show. This is like crazy talk. You have to bomb people so that people know you're serious. You have to like bomb them with missiles. The only way to know that someone's serious is if they bomb you with a missile. That's crazy. That's just like crazy. Like that's like bizarre.
Well, with Assad, so it's interesting, right? Because we've been talking to Assad or trying to talk to Assad for several years. And nothing's really come of it, and he continues to use chemical weapons. So, like, what is your response to that? Is it to continue? Is it just to sort of kind of put your head in the sand and say, no, but I'm trying, but I just, God forbid, I use any military force? I mean, it's the alternative world is not that he stops using chemical weapons, right?
Okay, so what are the targets you would bomb?
Suppose you bomb something that's actually close to him. Maybe you even try and kill him. So you could do that.
Oh, that'll get him to the negotiating table if you kill him.
Well, that might bring a more rational person into the leadership.
Oh, yeah. Nothing makes a country more rational than when you assassinate the predecessor leader.
I mean, sometimes it actually probably helps in the sense that, like,
name one time we assassinated a country and it was better, a country's leader, and things were better off for it.
I mean, you could use Saddam as kind of an example. Things are slightly better in Iraq, right?
Are they?
Like 1 million people died. An actual like high 6 figures, low 7 figures number of people died in Iraq.
No, but if we could have just assassinated Saddam, right? And if we had competently put together a government, like you can see.
That's not what we did. 1 million, Rich, hundreds of thousands of people died. Over 1 million people were forced into poverty. Had their property destroyed. The country hasn't had a functional government since Saddam Hussein regime was toppled. At one point, about half of the country was controlled by like a rogue semi-state.
I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like you're not the alternative isn't just like some sort of panacea status quo. It's like a whole bunch of bad choices.
No, but I ask you, why wouldn't you just do steps 1A, 1B, 1D, and 2.1 without doing step 1 to wit bombing Syria? And your only answer was that that's the only way they'll know that we're serious. But it's like crazy. That's just crazy talk. This is absolutely crazy talk. There's like no basis for that belief.
Hold on. Ruch, I mean, you'd have to agree, right? That like, bombing doesn't have to be step 1, right?
Well, you're also assuming that we haven't taken any steps before this, right? Like, we've been working on this problem in Syria. Like, Obama asked for military authorization. Like, that was back in, like, 2012 or 2013. I mean, this was a long time ago, man. Like, we've been trying to handle this through not bombing for a very long time. It's not as if, like... It's not... I mean, AJ's acting as if all these other steps haven't even been attempted when they almost certainly have. Wow. Sanctions have been attempted. All of these other steps have been attempted.
It's like that point. It's like that point halfway between my commute from my house to work when it's like, oh man, I've been driving for like 10 minutes and I'm still not at work. I might as well just pull over and give it a rest.
Yeah, I think it's a little different than that. I don't think there were any chemical weapons used on your way to work.
Rich,
I don't think that happened.
This is crazy. You know this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Tom thinks it's crazy. This is crazy.
You still don't have. I mean, your alternative is to just let it keep happening, right?
Well, what about steps 1A, 1B, 1D, and 2.1? Why don't we just do those?
We've been trying. We've been trying.
Why don't we
those,
just keep
dude.
trying?
And they haven't.
That's
been
not
working.
nothing.
Okay. So that's only been like 5 years. He's only used chemical weapons a handful of times. Only hundreds of thousands of people have been died. Only millions of people have been displaced.
Okay,
no,
now we're just saying that we're just saying the
true.
same thing over and over again at each other. But basically, I mean, like to put a fine point in it, like you're wrong and crazy.
I mean, I guess to put a fine point on it, you're in favor of doing nothing while somebody uses chemical weapons against their own people. Like, I mean, if we're going to skip past the sort of talking about the cost benefit and go straight to calling each other crazy, then I guess that's the way we can frame it, right?
What's nice is that I edit the show, so I can like it doesn't matter what you say, I still get the last word. All right, what do we want to do? What do you want to do next?
Do you want to do the predictions, Tom?
Supreme Court predictions. Are we there yet?
The ones that I'm behind on? Yeah, the ones.
Oh yeah. So what are we gonna do about that? So we did 2 predictions with Laura, and Ruchit didn't guess. So do you want to Rich? Do you want to do your guesses offline?
Yeah, I'd love to predict. Do you want to tell me what the cases are about?
Sure. Let's start with Sveen v. Melin. We talked about this last episode. Basically, a Minnesota law revokes a spouse's designation as a life insurance beneficiary upon divorce. Does that violate the Contracts Clause of the Constitution? So, you know how there are these state laws that basically say when you get divorced, there's certain legal things that occur, right, automatically without you having to do anything. One of them is if you have life insurance and your life insurance beneficiary is your spouse, it revokes that life insurance clause. But there's this Contracts Clause in the Constitution that says no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. Does that law violate the Contracts Clause?
Do you think this is a law that the insurance companies asked for so they wouldn't have to make payouts?
What do you mean? Like they have to pay out someone?
Oh, they do still.
It just depends on who. Yeah, right. Like so, like in Sveen v. Melin, Sveen is the children of the husband who had a life insurance policy that was designated in favor of his wife. They get divorced. He dies. Now the wife is like, hey, this life insurance policy says the money goes to me. The kids are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We've got this Minnesota law that says the life insurance policy revokes your benefit and it comes to me. And the Supreme Court's like, what about the Contracts Clause, y'all?
Dude, I love this. I love this case. So I'm with. I don't know, man. I think the Contracts Clause must trump.
So, Rich, to help you out, something that I realized editing the last episode is that I think the issue is the law constitutional, right? The question is, can the law be applied to previously executed contracts?
Oh, yes. So I would think
that'll put. As I was editing the episode, I realized that was not something we had teased out, but that puts a finer point on it, right? It's not. The question is like basically, is it a retroactive law with respect to existing contracts?
Well, so can you? I mean, so think about it this way, right? What if the state passed a law that said that on a retroactive basis, like you can't have clauses waiving arbitration, like they're against public policy, let's say, right? That would be interesting.
Well, yeah, I guess, but but here's the thing about the Contracts Clause. It really comes into play when you're dealing with a retroactive provision, right? Like usually, like the law doesn't impair the obligation of contracts in going forward. Does that make sense? Because going forward, you always have knowledge of the law when you make the contract, or you're assumed to have knowledge of the law when you make the contract.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a 9-0, and it's going to be that the Minnesota law, as applied to this situation, is unconstitutional.
Oh, dang. All right, so 9-0 for Melin.
Wow.
All right, our next case is the National Institute of Family and Life Advocates v. Becerra. And basically, have you ever heard of these pregnancy crisis centers?
Ah, yes. Didn't we talk about this a couple cases ago or a couple weeks ago?
We talked about it last week on this show.
No. I could have sworn that we talked about it the week before in talking about free speech or something.
I wonder if Rich listens to the show.
No, I don't. I don't want anybody to get that idea.
No. So basically, California passed a law to address these crisis pregnancy centers who generally oppose the right to choose an abortion, and So California believes that these crisis centers are masquerading as medical clinics, and so they passed this law requiring them to, for example, post notices about the availability of abortion services and a state a number where women can get more information about that. And the question in this case is that a violation of the First Amendment rights of these pregnancy crisis centers?
Is that a violation of the First Amendment? That's the question, right?
Yeah. So requiring a pregnancy crisis center to post a sign that says, look, if you want information about abortion, you got to go call this number.
So Texas kind of does this, doesn't it? Don't they have like something similar to this, but it's obviously on the other side,
yes,
which
on
is
the opposite side.
You go into this is so good. This is so good. Because now we have an issue that will impact both sides if the state is not allowed to do it. So I think this is going to be it's going to be a 6-3.
6-3 for who?
For the crisis centers. And I think your 3 dissenters are going to be Kagan, Sotomayor, and Breyer.
So you think that Ginsburg is going to go in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
She's a free dude. She's a free speecher. She believes in free speech.
Okay, dude. Okay.
Well, actually, and I do in Ruchit's defense, Ginsburg did join the unanimous opinion about being able to protest across the street from abortion clinics. I mean, she really does occasionally.
No, she's a dude. I think Ginsburg is big. I mean, she's a big First Amendment-er, if you will.
I mean, I just mean every once in a while, like her, like Ginsburg's like free speech, like fundamentalism, like trumps any of her other considerations.
Well, we do have one case.
I think she doesn't care about the politics as much on this stuff.
We do have one case that none of us have predicted yet. Do you want to do that as well?
Ooh, let's talk about that.
So this is Benisek v. Lamone. And the issue presented in this case is, can you challenge a partisan gerrymandered map based on a First Amendment retaliation theory? Okay, so get this. In Maryland, I don't know if you remember, they are controlled by Democrats, and the Democrats passed a partisan gerrymander to basically minimize the power of Republicans in power. And this case is a challenge by Republican voters to a single federal congressional district drawn by Democratic officials in Maryland. And they're trying to convince the Supreme Court that the First Amendment, that they have a First Amendment retaliation challenge. That is, they are saying that the Democrats are punishing Republican voters by giving them less representation by gerrymandering because they voted Republican in the past. And they're saying, look, we know that you've got a whole bunch of partisan gerrymander cases before you, but like Gill v. Whitford, which we talked about on episode 34 of Everything We Know About Partisan Gerrymandering. But this case is saying the best way to analyze partisan gerrymandering is in the framework of a First Amendment retaliation claim. That is, you have a First Amendment right to vote whichever way you want, Republican or Democrat, and by the state legislature gerrymandering your district, they are punishing you for voting one way or the other. It's a little bit more technical than that, because the specific issue presented in this case is whether this case comes from a 3-district court down below, and the court held that in order to win on a partisan gerrymandering retaliation claim, the plaintiffs had to show that the gerrymander actually changed the outcome of races in Maryland, and then the plaintiffs couldn't. So there's a wrench thrown in there, but the basic issue is, look, we've got this great idea or great theory to address partisan gerrymandering, and this is the way the court should look at it.
I don't know what to do in this one.
So I have a question.
What's your question?
if the court, I mean, can the court just do like a normal like Gill v. Whitford style partisan gerrymandering analysis, or is the only avenue available this First Amendment theory?
Well, remember, courts can only decide the issue in front of them, right? And the issue in front of them is whether to affirm or reverse the three-judge district below.
And the 3-judge panel agreed with the First Amendment retaliation theory.
No, the 3-judge panel said, look, plaintiffs, you really don't have a case, because even if your First Amendment partisan gerrymandering theory is correct, you have to show some sort of causal impact to you, and you just can't do that.
Okay. And the causal impact is only required for the retaliation theory, right? Like, it's not required just for a Gill v. Whitford one man, one vote gerrymandering challenge.
Yes, that's correct. One thing that the Supreme Court could do is they could decide Gill v. Whitford one way, and then in this case say reverse and remand to the district court to decide based on our Gill v. Whitford theory.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I think the court's going to do.
I think that's going to happen. Yeah, I think so too.
I think the court is going to strike down the Wisconsin maps in Gill v. Whitford and then tell Maryland to process the case under the Gill standard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so this is going to be weird, right? Because Gill's going to be 5-4 in favor. Gill's going to be 5-4 against the state, right? And then the outcome in this case is going to be a reverse. And so how does that work? Okay, so 5 of them are going to be for reversing and 4 of them are going to be for affirming. So that'll also be a 5-4. Because I was trying to think, like, you can get one of those cases where, like, everyone wants to reverse, but for different reasons. So you get a 9-0, but not really. But this is going to be a 5-4.
Yeah. Why not?
I mean, do you think there are going to be people? Well, so let me put it this way. So let's say the 5-4 majority of Gill, right, wants to reverse the 3-judge panel's dismissal, right? Is anyone in the dissent from Gill also going to be in favor of reversing the dismissal? And I think no. I think the 4 dissenters in Gill are going to be all in favor of dismissal, right?
I got to remember what we did in Gill. No, I don't.
All right.
I don't remember.
Ruch, what do you think?
I think the court is going to decide Gill v. Whitford first, and then tell the lower court to proceed based on Gill v. Whitford and use that new standard that they will create. So I think that's probably going to be maybe a 6-3. It's just going to be I think there's going to be 3 people that are still really mad about the Gill v. Whitford decision, and I assume those people will be Gorsuch, Alito,
Cornelius,
and Thomas.
Little Cornelius.
And Thomas, they'll be mad and they'll dissent, and Gorsuch will write what I'm sure will be a very poorly reasoned dissent. So I think it's going to be 6-3.
6-3, affirm or reverse?
I think it would be affirm, wouldn't it? Yeah. No, reverse. Sorry. It'll be 6-3 reverse, saying, hey, use this standard. Use the Gill v. Whitford standard.
I mean, honestly, like my gut before coming into this case and having, just like it was that it was going to be affirmed, because here's how I'm thinking about it, right? I think it will get busted, but it'll be like a 9-0 to bust. Does that make sense? Like,
so everyone's going to have a different reason.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have a different reason.
Yeah, everyone's going to have, yeah.
So let's say 5 people want to reverse to instruct the court to process it under the new Gill standard. What are the other 4 going to reverse for?
No, you're right. You're right. 5-4 reversal. I was just thinking about it wrong.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, huh?
Yeah. That's going to be a confusing whatever happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I think that's it.
Is it?
That's all we got.
Is it?
I think it's all we got today. I mean,
don't we have anything else?
We covered the war. AJ and I dispense with that in a few minutes, I suppose. We covered the Paul Ryan glee. AJ, how long do you think the afterglow from Paul Ryan's defeat will be visible on your face?
Oh my God, forever.
It's going to be like people are going to be like, they're going to see you tomorrow and they're going to they're going to be like, wow, AJ, did you go to the beach? And you're going to be like, no, Paul Ryan resigned.
AJ, are you pregnant? No, Paul Ryan resigned.
So, I mean, that's going to be how people feel. I hope AJ gets to meet Paul Ryan one day, and they can have like a really earnest conversation about Paul Ryan's, record in Congress.
Why would you wish that on your like worst enemy?
Maybe he's trying to tell you something, AJ.
No, I'm not, dude. I think it would just be interesting for you to have an earnest conversation with someone that you deeply dislike. You know what I mean? You could see Paul Ryan for the human being that he might be.
Might.
He too is a human being. He's not just a clean-shaven face, okay?
Do you guys want to do sidebars?
Sidebars. I have a good sidebar. Ruch, what's your sidebar?
Dude, hit it. Oh God. I don't have anything to share, dude. Like I'm thinking about buying a scooter, but or not a scooter, rather a I'm thinking about buying a
Ruch had a run of like 2 good
scooter.
sidebars, and that was just too many for him.
Yeah. I'm thinking about buying this electric scooter, but I don't want this to be like a situation where I was promoting a specific pair of Warby Parker sunglasses, only to realize that they were not good. I mean, like our audience probably bought like hundreds of those pairs of sunglasses based on my recommendation, and I feel bad for that,
You should, dude.
So I'm trying not to do that again,
So actually, here's something we can talk about. Okay, so we're going to put this scooter as your sidebar, but what is Google Express?
Oh, this is a great question. This might be a good sidebar.
I think it's just you can order from somebody else, but they just, it's just ordered through Google, I guess. But it's actually like from Fry's or whatever, as this scooter is. It's actually pretty, listen, it's a real savings. Like I looked on Amazon for that same scooter and it was $395, and Google Express has it for $299.
So when did Google start this?
I have no idea.
What other deals can I find on Google Express?
It's worth checking out,
Look. Reynolds Wrap aluminum foil for $19.08.
Oh, Tom, can you get me some of that? I'll Venmo you.
That sounds expensive.
It's 250 square feet, a 2-pack.
Oh, wow.
So 500 square feet of...
Oh, guys, if you use this link when you order something off Google Express, you'll get $10 off, and I'll get $10 off.
Oh, my gosh. Back to hawking wares.
Dude, that's awesome. Can you put this in our...
No.
You'll get a $10 credit, dude. You don't want free money? Why do you hate free money? You're a socialist. Come on.
Yeah. Because I think
this is some cheap toilet paper.
Mm-hmm. No, so Ruchit, it is actually cheaper because you're getting 500 square feet for $19.08, right? And so I got 25 square feet for $1.
I wonder if I have to. Oh, this is, this is like Walmart itself, and this is not going to get here until Monday. Like I can't wait till Monday.
Do you want to hear about my sidebar?
Yeah, that'll be more interesting.
Okay, my sidebar is this Medium article called Nikon versus Sony, or Nikon versus Canon, rather. Oops. A story of technological change, and it's sort of the history of these two camera companies, Nikon and Canon, over the decades since like 1971. And basically, it's a story of Nikon sort of releasing like all of this great technology over these years, like being a leader in the field, and really what did them in the late 1990s was autofocus. So Canon came out, as autofocus was really becoming a more modern thing. Canon decided, look, we've got all this old lens technology. We're just going to say, you can't use that with any of our new autofocus cameras because our autofocus is going to be so great and it's not going to be backwards compatible. Whereas Nikon was like, no, look, we're going to try to make everything backwards compatible, and that kind of hampered them a little bit. And as a result, a lot of professional, particularly sports photographers who needed a fast autofocus, decided to go the Canon route, and Canon gained a lot more following as a function of that. It's an interesting little story about Canon and Nikon.
So there's a great book on entrepreneurship by Peter Drucker, and so he tells a lot of these types of stories. So
Rich, this would have been a great sidebar.
I mean, these things just come to me, right? But anyway, he talks about like a lot of these similar sort of things, like how like one of the big department stores, they basically started like selling clothing, and so other department stores sort of saw this. This is like back in the 50s or whatever, or not. Sorry, they were selling clothing, and they started selling like appliances, like washers and dryers and refrigerators and stuff like that, and so their competitors saw this, and they did the exact same thing. Well, the company that came up with it first, it was run by a bunch of guys that had sort of made their name in clothing. And so they saw that like the appliance department was like doing really well and was taking up more and more space. And they were like, but we're a clothing store. We're not an appliance store. And these appliance guys are like killing us because they keep on taking up space that could otherwise go to clothing. And so they systematically killed the appliance business. And one of their other competitors sort of doubled down on that business. So the moral of the story being like a lot of these sort of entrepreneurial opportunities, your customers are telling you what they want, and you kind of have to be smart enough to listen to them. You know, it's not so much like you don't need to necessarily even know what they want. It's just that when you put out these feelers and there's massive amounts of demand, you have to respond to that. And not try and suppress it, which it seems like why would anybody do that? But it definitely happens.
But, like, I mean, the opposite is just as true, right? Like, the opposite of that sort of saying or truism is the Apple story of, your customers don't know what they want until you tell them.
True. Yeah.
So, it's a lot more difficult than...
No. I think it's the point of Drucker's story is that you need to sort of pay it when your customers are sort of voting with their dollars. You really need to pay attention to what they're telling you there, right? Mm-hmm. So this isn't some argument for like, oh, don't innovate, don't invest in like R&D or anything like that. It's just that innovation and entrepreneurship come from like a lot of different places, and one of those places, not the exclusive place by any means, is your customers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Nikon cameras are better.
I mean, I think so, but, I also own a Nikon.
I mean, I just shoot Fuji, so.
Yeah, there's so much out there these days.
Oh, guys, I need some Fuji training from you guys one of these days, because we have a Fuji now, and I feel like I'm not using it anywhere near to its fullest potential.
Just point and click, dude.
Yeah, you just point it at the scene and then you capture the image, Ruch.
I don't know. I feel like I need some more training, and you guys are the right ones to do it.
Well, you see,
maybe then we can I like this. Maybe we can go through a training process, okay, and then afterwards we can record an episode, everything we know about photography.
Ruch, try to have a flat horizon, unless you're going for something artsy, in which try not to have a flat horizon.
Dude, I'm gonna need some sort of in-person advice on this, and then we can reduce it to the podcast.
Ruch,
for our audience,
I can recommend a 60-hour class that you can take online.
Doesn't seem like enough, dude. Seems like I need a 1,700-hour class.
No, just 60 hours. That's all you need.
Do I get a license at the end? I need a license.
Actually, I'm changing my sidebar. I'm changing my sidebar to a different sidebar. I had a different sidebar prepared, but now I have a different sidebar.
What's your sidebar?
So Garry Winogrand is like one of my favorite photographers, but he gave a really interesting talk in 1977 at Rice University. It's like really interesting. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube. Was it in 1977? He gave it wasn't like a speech. It was just like him sitting in a room with people like asking him questions and then him yelling at them. Like at one point there was a guy who was like, I don't like Robert Frank, and then Garry Winogrand just like yelled at him. He was just like, no, like Robert Frank's the #1 ever. Like you screwed up by having the wrong opinion. All right, I'm putting it in the Google Doc, Tom. This is like amazing. I'd say like 50% of what I know about photography comes from this YouTube video.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Like, oh god, it's so good. Ruch would hate it. Ruch, don't watch it because you would hate it. But Tom, you might like it. It's so good.
Should we all watch it together?
I'll watch it, dude.
It's an hour and 46 minutes, and the sound quality's not very good, and he really is just sitting there talking.
It's only 18 minutes, dude.
No. Not the one I put in the Google Doc.
Oh, hold on. Is there another one? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Garry Winogrand is like one of the top street photographers of all time.
Okay, maybe I'll watch this.
What the hell is going on in this video? It looks like it's just people are like just talking in the background.
Yeah, he was just like chilling at Rice University. He was like, "Oh, like I'm just in Rice, just hanging out. I'm just hanging out at Rice University."
It's like 1977, Tom. Like, look at the guy's hair.
Oh, it's so good.
It's like cocktail hour at Garry Winogrand's house
at Rice University.
It's so good.
When does he start the speech?
It's not a speech. There's no speech. It's just him talking. He's just like sitting in a room. Then the other students are like, "How come some of your photos are ugly?" And he's like, "No, they're beautiful."
He's getting out of his vest.
Yeah. Oh my god, he's so good. Oh, he's the best photographer.
He's asking for questions. Ruch, do you have any questions
that we can send back to the past? I wish he was around to sort of help me learn how to use this Fuji camera. You know.
Well, he didn't shoot Fuji.
Well, I think he could probably figure it out, you know?
He's got a very thick, I guess, New York accent. What's he doing at Rice?
He taught at UT for a while in the fine arts department.
Oh, he didn't teach me.
Well, did you take fine arts?
No.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
We should bomb Syria.
Guys, I have to go. I have to like do a bunch of cleaning around the house.
Well, why don't you clean my house?
I just don't have enough time. You know what I mean? It's kind of a priorities thing.
To clean, you have to clean your house.
Yeah, I just have to like get it ready. You know, so I need to get it ready.